Hello, everyone. Live like the movie's over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. Hello, everyone. I was like, wait, I don't know what's going on. Welcome to Saturday morning, where I haven't quite woken up yet. I'm glad you're with us. I'm Katie Quixotic. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but mostly Twitch and Twitter as Katie Quixotic, and I'm excited for today. Why don't we introduce ourselves in the way we always do now?
Hi, I'm Carl, and I play Lafcadio Whitehorn, the Tabaxi Warlock with the funny accent.
Hi, I'm Vinny. I play Kale Irvine, the half-elven, half-human cleric of Denier, with no discernible accent, I think.
Hi, I'm Casey! I am playing Hobgoblin Asmar, champion of Timora, Impaler of Plains, Heckler of Big Fire Chicken. She would fight the Storm, Slayer of Shadows, Nos, the boss of Neverwinter. And I, too, am still waking up.
Me too, Casey. I am John, the dwarf from Marabar, master of axe, enemy of the drow, traveler of the plains, destroyer of shadow, deliverer of certain death. I am the Wampem Thunderbelly.
Oh.
Good morning, I'm Graham, or Graham Crackers, playing Taslin, your friendly Shadar-Kai necromancer. And next week I'll have titles.
I always like to joke that I'm playing God when I DM, but it's less of a title and more of like a job description, I guess.
Because you really play all of the gods.
Yeah, that's true. I play gods. We probably can come up with something good for that. But anyway, who would like to do... Wait, do we have any housekeeping stuff? I think we're good on housekeeping, right?
Good.
Yeah. Who would like to do a recap of last week?
I guess I probably should, since we're actually in Marabar.
I'm good with that.
But we started out last week. We were in the Dragon Horde. We had to split all the treasure up while three of us went to see if the orcs were doing okay and needed any healing. Myself and Taslin, with Taslin being the way he is, decided to go out on our own to see if we can find this big horde. Well, we did find a horde. Taslin found a little trap and burned his little fingers. But we did find a couple items and a whole bunch of gold and platinum and gems that reluctantly we had to kind of give the orcs a third of it. So that didn't please us all very much, but a deal's a deal. Then we decided that we needed to go to Marabar because each one of us has to have a little talk with our deity to see if there's anything that we can do for them to keep these powers from stealing the divinities. So we headed to Marabar, which is Wampem's home. We got to Marabar. We were welcomed like family of old. Lefcardio went to the iron forge and sung his song of praise and victory and the downing of Narenvain, the shadow dragon. Wampem and Nos went to see Wampem's mother. We had ourselves a bath to clean up off all the blood. Then Wampem's mother had a surprise. And we went out into the courtyard and we saw a ivory platform with all of the bronze statues of the fallen guild members, guild leaders. So it was all made out of the bones of all of our trophies that we sent home. So Wampem stomps up on this platform under all the bones of his trophies and victims. He gently touched all of the statues of his father, turned around, and where we left off was Wampem takes a kneel and he starts to pray, starts to give thanks. And at that moment, he starts to take his fist and starts to pound on the ivory platform and starts to sing. And his mother joins in. You see all of the guild members come out of their guild houses and everybody starts to sing. And that's where we begin.
I love that. What are they singing?
They are singing Moradin's war song. Shall we do it again?
I mean, I would love that.
all of the dwarves come out and it's Koi Moradin Poo Clo Koi Poop Bay Poo Yapo Mapo Jeshuvi Shema Chumeyo Mashuv Manang it's Mahochu Imbaged in Makdak Wolf Ku Bop my head betes do keys duck Vop Pumadine Mupare Masuta Kama Mev Kama Shuta Mayo. And they go through several rounds of it. So it's kind of like the Grinch Christmas song when all of the Who's come out into the center and everybody starts singing.
Exactly what I was thinking too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. What time of year is it, by the way? What time of year are we in currently? Have we established that yet?
It
I
was
feel like it was
autumn
fall.
last we checked.
Okay. So it's still kind of like morningish, middayish, and there's that sort of like warm sun but cool breeze kind of coming off of the spine of the world mountains and all that. And it's this like joyful moment where everybody comes out, like even though obviously there's a bit of somberness considering like this is you coming home and seeing this sort of like monument. There's a lot of joy and just like energy, and the warm light is kind of like streaming in and just adding sort of like another layer of the like aura of this moment that you're all having together. What do they do after the song is over?
Everybody just comes up and prays and just pays attention to the monument. I think for the first time it's actually really sinking in that it's over. It's, you know, that part of the Thunderbelly clan's history is in the past. Now it's time to go forward.
I love that. Then after you've finished your prayer and your song, and your mother comes back up to you, she kind of pulls away a little bit, Nos, just to go over to Wampem, and she puts her hands on both sides of your face again and says, "I know you'd be busy right now, but could we have one night to celebrate you being home?"
This is going to be a night to remember.
I will spend the day preparing for that. Is there anything in particular you'd like for me to have?
You know what? I like that spicy boar hog. I just can't get enough of it.
We'll have 3.
And what are y'all gonna eat?
Maybe I'll make 4.
You better.
She gives you a big hug and kind of like does the like squeeze pat thing, and squeeze your shoulders, and kind of like makes her way off to go start reaching out, getting supplies, starting planning and all of that. Kale. So Lafcadio and Tazlin went to like a tavern to do some music, hang out, while Nas and Wampem went to go see Mama. So what was Kale doing?
Taking a nap.
That's fair. Okay.
Have we had a long rest since ever? Since? No. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't expect that question to come up, but I did not plan for it.
You can just be in the. Well, you weren't here, so it's kind of hard to say what you might have been doing. There was like a small library, and you had the chance to kind of look over everything, but there wasn't anything super interesting there. Some normal books that you had seen before, and so other than like the general loot, you guys kind of took off with the Emil of the Plains and then made it back to Mirabar kind of fresh. So if there's anything you needed to do with some of the gold that you all have acquired, that could have been an option, or you could just be hanging out in the tavern, like whatever.
For teleportation. Yeah, he's thinking about stuff right now. We can come back.
Sounds good. Yeah, totally. So for Lafcadio and Tazlin then, I know you were performing Lafcadio and you said your set was going to last about an hour. Figure this is about the sort of time that the reunion after Nas and Wampem have gotten cleaned up and they've gone and see this monument and had this sort of like beautiful moment. This is about the time that your set would be ending. So what are you and Tazlin going to do next?
So I think while he's performing, Tazlin would have pulled out the books that he acquired sneakily, and he's not going to like open them, but he's going to look at the titles if they have like a title page.
So these are both, one of them, it just looks significantly older at a glance, much more wear and tear, kind of like a broken spine. The pages are still bound inside, but you can see where it's been repaired a few times over the years, heavily, heavily worn. There are no titles. These look like they were bound journals rather than like a published book.
Okay. Tazlin will... I'll just cast as a level 1 spell. I think I have a slot. He'll cast Identify on both of them. Just in case, because dragons.
That's fair. So you're going to cast on both of them, or did you want to
one at a
cast it
time.
ritually? Okay, one at a time.
I'm gonna burn a spell slot, so I'm not a ritual cast.
Perfect. So you take the time and 6 seconds, I guess, to cast Identify, and these are just normal books.
Perfect. And then he's just gonna open one and start reading.
Which one do you open?
What are the differentials between them, like, to choose? They don't like have a title, so.
Yeah, there's no titles. The handwriting is different between the two of them.
Okay.
The older one looks like it's been earmarked, water stained. If you start to like flip through the pages to try to like see if which one catches your eye, the older one has more runic symbols, like somebody who is familiar with arcane casting would have, like where they're making notes in the margins and things like that, and like drawing out spells they discovered or made or what have you. It doesn't seem like this was a spell book, more like they were taking notes on things. As you flip through, that would probably catch your eye on the older one. And on the newer one, it's more like really orderly, neat, well-kept, fresh. The pages are all flat. There's no dog-earing. Like really even, beautiful script.
Okay. So Tazlin will open them both at the same time. He's gonna, because he thinks, or he believes that one may be a reference item where either it was translation or notes that Neuron Vane was making about transcribing the book. So he's gonna set them both side by side. Do you want me to roll like an investigation?
Yeah, go ahead.
My passive investigation is a 20, but I will roll.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. We'll see if you do better than that, and if not, then we'll stick with the 20.
That
24.
is a 24, yeah.
Nice. So you kind of open them both up and start at the front and kind of read back and forth to see if you can discern a connection between the two. When you start with the old one, while the writer never makes their name clear, you see notes about the hunt for an artifact that is being searched for great power, for channeling power into it, for storing it. There are notes about a delicate process and how there's going to need to be magic involved in order to contain and keep both the artifact intact, but also channel the energy into it that this entity wants to house. And as you flip back to the other one, you're reading what seems to be a personal journal. With that investigation check, you're pretty sure that this book, although they never make their name, like there's no like, by neuron vein, it's like, initially there's just like notes about like the early life of someone who you can tell is a dragon, who talks about the like soaring through the skies and breathing onto creatures and the fear that, loving the fear in their eyes and the reverence when they pay tribute to you and things like that. So they don't seem to have a connection at first. As you continue reading back and forth, the older one goes on to talk about searching all over the world for this artifact, eventually finding it, having a lot of difficulties with housing as much power as they wanted to siphon into it. And then as the arcane markings get more and more complicated, this entity, whom as a wizard and someone who casts arcane and who learned their spells by trial and error and study, you can tell likely had the same approach to learning magic. And part of their hunt for this item was their search for immortality. This book ends before they make any notes on that, but there are notes on what way someone would need to, like what spell they created or morphed kind of to like cast around this artifact to allow it to house the level of power they wanted it to house. And then,
did they ever put a name to the artifact within the book? Okay.
They just called it the artifact.
Okay. Taslan bookmarks that, and he's going to go in the journal to the part where we killed his compatriot, and then he got really mad, so then he's going to just, like, read that page.
Yeah, so it looks like this was probably, like, part of a series, and so there are notes on that one. It looks like the full detailed extent of that was probably, like, the way this is organized, there's, like asterisk-esque type marks where the writer Neuron Vein is referring to like other books, where it seems like he's like really diligently chronicling his life as if somebody might want this at some juncture. So there's like the short version of that story, and then all of the plans for revenge, and he talks about the ambush in the temple and the briefly discussing talks of dealing with the Dark Mistress, who has promised power in exchange for completing some objectives for her. And you read through the different machinations they had initially, which started off with just trying to kill you guys and be a dragon and scare people into giving them money. And it kind of morphs into this, that I can achieve an even greater form, one that will be like strike terror and even the bravest of souls, and all in the mortal plane will bow down to me as a living god on this earth, blah, blah, blah. And they talk about going in search for an artifact that is needed and locating it and delivering it in exchange for the promise that their enemies will be cowed before them. And that's where it leaves off.
Okay.
And with an investigation check, it's pretty easy to infer that Neuron Vein was anticipating some sort of grandiose gesture to destroy whomever their current greatest enemy seemed to be.
Okay. That probably takes a while, so.
Yeah, I would say that probably takes almost that full hour, just skimming back and forth and like piecing things together and finding the right places in the book. So, Lefcadio, what are your plans after you finish your set?
Don't forget to tip waitresses, and I'll walk over to Taslan and say, "What'd you think of that? It's a new song I've been working on."
Oh, I thought it was so wonderful, and I'll close the book and like turn around slowly in my seat and give like the best fake smile I can manage. And be like, I think hands down it was your best work yet.
Really? What was your favorite part?
It was the part where you Grabs the book, puts it in the bag, shuts the other book. It was the part where you changed the chord.
Yeah, that just came to me off the top of my head. Right there is really just struck with the muse. One would say.
Of course, it was such an inspiration. Even in my darkest of hearts, was moved, almost to tears even.
That's awfully sweet of you, Taslin.
And I have a gift for you.
That's so.
But it has to stay between the two of us. You can't tell anyone else that I gave this to you.
I don't like keeping secrets from the other one, so that didn't work out well.
Well, it would embarrass me.
I can't promise to keep it from everyone. So if it's gonna be a problem, then I can't make that promise.
Well, I suppose I don't mind having them know. And I'll pull out the orb that we got in the loot that I had thrown in my bag, and I will hand it to Lefkadio.
Oh,
This
neat.
is a magic orb.
What does it do?
It'll. Did we? I know I cast Identify on it, but I don't remember that
It was just
it had any. Yeah, it was just a spell focus, right?
Yeah, exactly. An arcane focus.
It's just a really nice arcane focus.
That's awesome. Where'd you get it? Does it have like a story attached to it or anything like that?
Ooh. I think Taslin's lied to enough people today. No big story. As to how I got it, though. Well, it was a fraughtful journey in which myself and some others slew a dragon. And then I found this lying on the ground and took it. And thought, Lefkadio would love this.
So you've killed another dragon besides Neuron Vein?
It was much smaller.
Oh, I'm sure you're just being modest.
Yes, you have such a good eye for modesty. It was humongous. I misspoke. I didn't want to downplay this whole Neuron Vein debacle.
All right. Well, I reckon Nos and Wampem have, done, the familiar things. Let's go catch up with them and see, if we need to be doing anything, or else we just, celebrate the night away. That's also an option.
Should I roll a deception check?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not another nat 20.
Now, whether or not Lefkadio is even trying to discern
nat
whether
one.
or not, I love it.
That is a nat 1.
I wouldn't have been trying to,
Yeah.
to probe him. So my passive insight would be 0. Or no, 10. It'd be 10. So.
Yeah, with your passive insight, it's one of those things where it's difficult to tell whether or not Taslin is like doing that thing Taslin does, where everything is slightly embellished, but not necessarily in in the intent to deceive more than just the intent to sound really cool, or whether there's maybe perhaps not some truth to some portions of this story at least. But if you're not actively paying attention, then it's just kind of like a passing thought of like, that seems slightly embellished.
Why is he like that?
Well,
yeah.
We shouldn't keep them waiting. And I will order a drink to go in my to-go cup or mug.
What do you order?
I don't know. I slap 2 gold on the counter and I say, fill it up, and I'm keeping the mug. To the bartender.
So there's this young halfling woman with this big like strawberry blonde curly hair, and her eyes get really big, and she looks down and she reaches down under the counter and pulls out this like light purple glass decanter and uncorks it, and when she does, there's like this little whiff of smoke, and you get this sort of like lavender almost-esque scent.
Actually, I put down an additional 10 gold, and I just say, just give me the bottle to go. And I just reach for the bottle. She just like decanted, just take it, and then I just start quaffing it and head out the door.
Yeah, it's got like a mildly floral like note to it, and a really mild sweetness, like a good mead that has like a hint of wildflower to it. So Wampem and Nas, anything else you guys are doing in particular after kind of finishing up with Mama?
As she starts to walk off, I'm going to tell her that I'm going to go visit the shrine next to the mines.
Old man, I actually am going to part ways with you for about an hour or so, but I'll come back right here. Actually, should I go get the others? I should go get the others, right?
I think, yeah, I think we ought to meet up and just let everybody know what we're doing.
Okay, so make that about 2 hours, and then I'll be back.
Okay.
And I am actually going to go get some stuff that I've been thinking about getting. Most of which are like food items.
Okay.
Is that?
When you say this to her, Wampum, she kind of quirks her head a little bit and says, "Okay, well, do you need to take any offerings with you?"
I do have, and I'm gonna take the battle axe that we found with Narenvain, and that I've been carrying on my back. We found this in Narenvain's hoard. It's got the mark of Morda on it. I need to check with Taslan to see if it's anything special. But I think I might offer it at the shrine. We're gonna need some powerful help.
That looks well crafted. I'm sure that will be well received. And she kind of like pats you on the shoulder and says, "Good boy." Kind of takes off. Nas, what did you want to go get? Are you going to round everyone else up first, or did you want to go on some excursion?
It's Nas alone in Mirabar for a moment.
Okay.
She has 3 stops she's going to make. I kind of want to keep it a surprise what she comes back with, but it will probably take about 30 to 45 minutes to hunt down these places and acquire these things.
Okay.
Before I head back to the Iron Forge Tavern to pick up the rest. I have no idea if I'm going to make it in time to actually catch him.
It takes some time to have finish up the song, have the conversation with Mama, plan with Wampum, and then Kadia and Taslan kind of have this conversation too. So I would say that you don't quite make it there before they leave, but you're like coming down the street as they have left and are heading up towards Wampum's family home, essentially, like knowing where you guys were heading last. And Kale, have you determined what Kale is doing in this time?
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, so Mirabar's, it's like a city, right?
Yeah.
It's a place where there's stuff to buy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I figured Kale, so he owes, what's his face, Ilmater or some stuff. So Kale would wander the city and ask around and see if he could find like a poorhouse or homeless people, or people like a hospital maybe, where he could heal some people, something like that.
Okay. How many spell slots do you plan to spend?
I think there's no penalty for using the last charge of the Staff of Healing, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 charges of that left, so I could do 7 Cure Wounds or
okay.
less restorations.
Sorry, you're going to be doing this while Lefcadio and Tazlin are in the tavern or afterwards?
During, and also a correction, I will use 6 charges.
Okay.
Because there isn't. I could roll a 1 and it could vanish forever.
And of course, that would be the one time that it would happen. So go ahead and make an investigation. Or have you been to Mirabar before? Are you super familiar with the town?
I wouldn't say super familiar, but we've been here with Wampem.
You've been here? Okay. Still go ahead and make an investigation check, because I don't know if you've ever actually gone to the hospital or not.
That would be a, please hold for drama, 36.
Yeah. You ask around a few people, and you kind of know the city well enough, and they give you some vague directions towards the quarter that has 2 of the temples dedicated to both Helm and Ilmater. They are they're not massive. Obviously, the majority of this population tends to worship Moradin, but these are sort of dedicated sick houses almost in a way, and most of the worshippers there spend their time healing people who are sick. It's easy enough to find it. You make your way there, and there are quite a few more battle wounds out in the elements, and encountered something that harmed them rather than just actually sick people. But there are a few people there who have general illnesses as well, so you'd be able to use as many of the charges as you would like to. And there are also some people that look like they're suffering from some kind of disease as well, if you'd like to do anything about that, but you don't have to, obviously.
I believe lesser restoration. No, it does poison. No, it does disease. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a couple of those, I guess. Why not? Okay.
So you walk in, and there's the 2 temples are not right next to each other, but they're kind of adjacent and down the street in this sort of part of the town. And they're similarly constructed. It looks like they probably work together a lot and contracted the same people to build their temples for them in similar respects. And they are very much built to house and treat people equally to having actual worshippers there. And so when you enter and you have a conversation and tell people that you would like to assist with the sick, they basically take you into this back room where they're it's like a triage-esque type center setup where some people who are more ill or more wounded are kind of being actively either healed or bandaged and whatnot, depending upon where they are and how bad their wounds were. And the people that are sick, there's this a mother and a son, both dwarven, that are have these heavy coughs, and they have claws over their mouths, and you can see that there's just a little bit of blood as they're coughing. And it doesn't seem like the worshippers here either have the ability to help them or just haven't gotten to them yet. And so in particular, of all the people that you help heal wounds and restore their vitality that day, they are particularly grateful because they indicate they've been sick for a long time. Do you want to have an in-depth conversation with them, or is this more of I'm here doing my duty and these are things that I need to do?
I wouldn't say in-depth, but I would make sure that they know that Ilmater was the one who sent me to heal them, just because I owe the guy. I wouldn't tell him that last part.
I owe the guy. I love it. Oh yeah, they're very grateful, and you do see that she has not a holy symbol, but how a Catholic might have a rosary, some sort of a trinket that has the bound hands on it. She has a piece of jewelry that has the bound hands on it, so you can tell that she's a devout follower of Ilmater, actually, which was probably slightly unusual. And so she looks particularly not only grateful but touched by this, as if it was meant to be.
Okay. Did anyone know what their problem was? Disease-wise?
The people here are not incredibly medically knowledgeable. They have an understanding of stitching up wounds. They're definitely used to treating sort of battle injuries more than illnesses. One person, one of the leading they're not necessarily, I guess they would still be clerics, so obviously not nearly as powerful as you are. They had an idea that there was some sort of sickness of their lungs that was plaguing them, and that's why they were coughing up blood, as opposed to it just being damage to the passage from the amount of coughing. But they hadn't really been able to figure out what it was yet, and their attempts to cure them through more alchemical means initially had not been successful.
Could I maybe make a medicine check to see if I would like be able to impart the knowledge onto them that they would need to cure it in the future when I'm not here with super magic?
Yeah, go ahead and make a medicine check. With super magic?
Super magic. 19.
I'm wondering what this world's version of an alchemical antibiotic would be.
Just like get some moldy bread and
Basically,
mash it up.
boil it,
liquor.
turn it into a stew. A healing potion would work. Those are very expensive. If they couldn't do that, you can think of a particular plant that has some sort of like antimicrobial properties, and when put into a drink and sort of like made into a poultice with some, there's a sea animal that has blood that has natural antibiotic properties. And you know that this is like an infectious kind of disease sort of thing. So you're able to tell them, like, yeah, you could either go to an alchemist and purchase a healing potion, or if you're able to get the some blood from this particular type of crab, as well as this particular plant, and make like a poultice out of it, then you could swallow that in like little like pellets that you make like gobs of it, and that will help if it comes back.
Great. Yes, I share all that knowledge with them, and I tell them this medical lesson has been brought to you by Denier, god of glyphs and writing and all that good stuff. If you ever need any more help from Denier, please have someone contact me. My name is Cale Irvine, etc., etc. Goodbye. And I leave dramatically, somehow.
Cape flail, cloak flail. Yeah, they look very, very impressed. The people here are definitely adept at healing like battle wounds, but this is like more sophisticated knowledge of medicine and healing than at least the people that are here at present have access to. So pretty much everyone in the room is thoroughly impressed, and you feel pretty good about it. Or I guess you could feel however you would like to about it, but you definitely have the right to feel really good about it. Okay.
Great.
So after that, are you going to head back towards the inn, or would you be heading more towards Wampem's family home?
Probably Wampem, because I would have known he was going to go to the shrines and stuff, and that was like the whole reason we came here.
Mm-hmm. So you actually run into Nos then, like a couple of blocks down from where the two of you are going to end up intersecting. Lefcadio and Taslan. Nos, you have just gotten the last of what you were looking for. You've kind of like stowed everything away to be all secretive and a surprise. And you look round a corner and whoop, there's Cale.
Hi.
Hey,
Come here often?
not really.
Yeah, I know. I'm heading back to the tavern. You wanna?
Oh, are we going? I was going to go see Wampem at his place, I thought.
I mean, you're free to do so, but I figured I'd go grab the other people first.
Okay.
We'll meet you there, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Be safe.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And you're easily able to go. Unless anybody has anything else in particular they want to do, you are free to go and just kind of like meet up, the three of you, and then meet back up with Wampem and Cale.
As I'm walking away, by the way, I'm just going to be like, fuck, that was awkward.
Shit. I love it. Relatable content. Yeah. So, at least the four of you can be easily reunited. Wampem, were you doing anything in particular? I know you said you were going to the shrine, but are you waiting on everyone before you go?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait on
Okay.
Catherine to see if he can take a few minutes with this axe.
With this axe.
And
Okay.
I am going to go drop off my other two axes at the forge so they can attach Nervane's fangs to the pommel.
Oh.
Okay.
If you're doing that after Taslan gets to you, Taslan will send his old robes there with the dragon scales to get them put on.
Okay.
So, would you be doing that before we get there or after?
I'll wait till you get there.
Okay. So Taslan gets there with Lafcadio, I guess.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
And-
you all are. Whoever wants to be back at Wampum's family home you're all there together
Oh.
now.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the steps of the ivory.
Platform.
With your awesome hat. Looking like Captain Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah. Taslin's got the empty decanter by this point.
Make a Constitution save.
All right.
I wanted to acknowledge that Fool did chip in 1,000 bits for the group, so we all get one reroll if we need it.
Wait, me too.
Uh,
All
I think it
players.
says all players.
You're a player.
That's fair.
Technically, you are a player.
No. DM is definitely different.
So that's a 9.
A 9. By the time you make it there, this is a lot of this seems to be like as mild as it is. This is a very highly concentrated liquor, and so you're able to drink it all very quickly. But it's sneaky like that, where normally this would come in like a small sherry glass. You have now consumed the entire bottle, and by the time you get there, you are feeling that like warmth in your stomach, and you kind of get that like when you turn your head. Everything just
swirls.
a little bit slow, not swirl yet, but it's like that slowness where like your eyes are kind of like not focusing as you're turning your head. You have like motion blur on when you're playing the game, and you're like, oof, all right, okay. So,
Wampum, it's so nice to see you.
What have you been drinking?
I don't know. I didn't ask them what it was. I just bought it.
Well, I was going to ask you to take a look at these 3 axes that are in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
but you might not be able to.
Oh no, I can do that with my eyes closed. I know how to cast spells. I can traverse the planes at will. I can do this. And I make grabby hands looking for the axe. Gimme.
So I'm going to act like I'm giving it to him, but I'm going to miss his hands on purpose.
1 moment.
What is wrong with you, Taslin?
I'm nothing. What's wrong with you, man?
Grab the axe already.
And does Taslin ever get it, or
Yeah, I'll eventually give it to you.
probably
see,
by
that's
like
up
the
to
4th
Wampum.
attempt? Yeah. And so Taslin takes it and he goes, "Well, I probably shouldn't have cast Identify on those books." Hiccup. And he'll like he's gonna sit down with the thing and he'll be like, it's gonna be like 10 whole minutes. I mean, not 10 minutes from now, 10 minutes from when I start casting the spell. So like 10 minutes from then.
Take 12 just to make sure you get it right.
And he'll pull out his robe and the scales and he'll go, Can you bring this to get the scales put on it?
I'll be back in a little bit. You just focus on that axe.
Yeah, no worries. What's the worst that happens?
I'm gonna come over and
teleport
kind
to
of
the place?
guard him while he does this.
And Taz will ritual cast Identify the axe.
Okay.
Wampum heads off to the forge, just laughing his ass off.
I love it. Remind me again what all Identify gives you.
All right, let me pull that up. Identify. You choose an object that you touch throughout the casting a spell. If it's a magic item or some other magic imbued object, you learn its properties, how to use them, whether it requires attunement, how many charges it has, if any. You also learn whether any spells are affecting the item and what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it.
So what you are able to discern is that there is like a potent magical aura around this, but that it doesn't have any actual like discernible magical properties that at the like moment. It's almost as if they're being like shielded or like hid from view, or maybe they're not like they're like bound in some way. Like everything you know about this tells you that you should be able to tell what this is, but it's like something's blocking your ability to discern those like specific properties, or that they're not like fully present yet.
Okay. Tazlin just starts talking to the axe after he finishes when he waits for Wampem.
What do you
And
say?
he'll like put it in the crook of his arm, so like the axe head is facing away from him, but it'll be like, you know what? I like you. You don't tell anyone nothing about yourself, and that's admirable.
Taz, ICT, brother. Are you gonna remember any of this tomorrow, you think?
Certainly. I will remember everything. I'd never forget a thing. And Tazlin is gonna pull the ring of fire resistance off because he already unattuned to it. I'd be like, come here. Closer.
Yeah.
And closer.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Uh-huh.
This is for you. And he's gonna put the ring there. 'Cause you burned up. And you lost your ring, and now you have this ring, so you don't burn up again.
Thanks. Do you have anything to replace this with? Because you are far squishier.
I've got these fancy robes. They do this, and Tazlin will use the one charge in the robes of scintillating colors.
Ah, fuck! Ah! God damn it!
So everyone has 30-foot radius.
Ow!
How close are you standing, Caleb, Claudio?
Probably within 30 feet. I imagine.
What were you doing before he? I'm assuming this blinds you, if I remember correctly.
Just make like a con save.
Yeah, they have to make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or be stunned.
All right, everybody make anyone who's within 30 feet.
Does that include me?
I don't think so.
Usually, if you have to, it says you have to as well.
Yeah, okay. I don't think it says that I have to.
The highest wisdom save I've ever made.
Yeah.
Got an 18.
9.
Nice.
16.
All right. So this like light flashes out, and it hurts, and you do shield yourself like you did, and it kind of like draws the attention more so than you currently had of the entire sort of like goings on of the courtyard. And it's kind of that like record scratch moment where everybody stops as this like light erupts from over around Tazlin, and Lafcadio, you are stunned.
I like to imagine it like a rainbow comes from the coat. Like the colors that are like coming off it, like with its hue, just kind of separate magically. And it's like, brah!
Is there any more stuff left in the decanter? At this point, Taz?
The one that he was drinking.
I'll hand what, if there's any, I'll just hand the decanter to her.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna take it from him and just smash it.
You take it, and it is already empty. So
Okay, well, let's smash it anyways out of fury. And then I'm going to reactionarily start to go to punch him in the gut, but my fist is gonna stop right there at his gut, and his robes get a little, they're like a breeze that goes.
I think with that, Tazlin just kind of like falls over, like slow motion, like.
Kale will walk up to him after he falls over, and just kind of, is he falling on his back or his face?
No, I think he's falling to his side because he's sitting down. So it's just like.
Oh, he was sitting down. Okay.
Or maybe he does like a turtle, like falls backward and it's like, ah.
So, Kale will just kind of lean over him and say, Tazlin, you seem very agreeable right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like to see you in a good mood, because I think normally you wouldn't answer the question I'm about to ask you. What books were you talking about?
I found his diary.
Nero Vane's diary?
Yes.
And what else? 'Cause you did say books as in plural, and you're a very smart person, so I would expect that you did that on purpose.
I found the books.
What are did you know what the other books are, or what they do?
Yes.
Would you mind if I took a look at them, being a book person myself?
That's a really good idea. You should definitely let him do that.
Yeah. This is the diary. I bookmarked the part where he swore eternal vengeance.
Okay, that's
And
great.
then I wrote out his name, and I wrote loser.
In the diary? That's okay. He was a loser, I agree.
And he was talking about an artifact, and I don't know what artifact. And so that was going to bug me, so I drank. And then I'll give him a second.
And what is this? What's the deal with this one?
It's a book.
I'll open it up, and this is the blank one, right?
Well, one had the arcane stuff, right? And
Yeah,
it was the
so-
old one, and the other one's the diary.
Yeah, so if you got the diary first, and the second one is like similarly journalistic, but this one is like you don't know who it was that has written it necessarily. There are no indications in any case of like a name or anything like that, and the handwriting is different. And it talks about like the search for this artifact and everything that I described earlier.
Okay.
And Taslin will, in fewer words, convey what he learned in his investigation check, but I don't want to roleplay that out because I want to see Wampem's blacksmith adventure.
Yeah. You're unstunned after I think a minute it is, Lafcadio, so you're dazed for a moment there and then can kind of gather your thoughts as they're having conversation about these books. What is it specifically that you want the teeth attached to the ends of your axes, Wampum, right?
Yeah.
To like the haft ends,
Yeah,
right?
the pommels,
Pommels.
the very end of it.
I knew that pommel was a thing. I just forgot that was on the far end. Okay, so those are going to go on the two of your axes, and then do you know what it was that Taslin wanted done with the robes and the scales, or does he just want them? Do you just know that he wanted them put on?
Taslin told him when they were cutting apart the thing before they went on their loot spree in the last episode that they would look nice on his sleeves.
Okay, so they're more intended to be decorative, but probably will provide some modicum of like armor on the arms, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
because those are the important spellcasting.
That's true. That's very true. All right. So you're able to give good direction to your craftsmen and craftswomen. Obviously, they are experts and impeccably skilled. It shouldn't be an issue to do this sort of thing. In fact, it probably would be a pretty quick sort of procedure in all things considered. So are you doing anything in particular after kind of like handing this stuff over, or are you just going to head back to where Taslin and them are?
I'm gonna head back to actually no, I'm gonna go to the stables on my way, and I want to saddle up a one of the giant boar hogs.
You're going to what up? Sorry, you cut out for a second for me.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna saddle up one of the giant boar hogs.
Whoa, okay. All right, so you come out riding on a giant boar hog.
And then I'm gonna go towards everybody else.
I love it. Okay, describe what this giant boar hog looks like, and what everyone sees as you kind of come out of the stable.
It's probably about 3.5 to 4 feet at the shoulder. The tusks are at least 2 feet in length. It's extremely coarse hair. The hind end is a little shorter than than the shoulders. But trotting up, there's all the slime coming out of the mouth.
I love it. Yeah, so you are having this conversation about these books, and up comes Wampum, like sitting atop this fearsome, like toothed, tusked, fanged, just like frothing almost beast. Not frothing in like an enraged, but just like you said, like the kind of like goo, general slobber, sort of like fearsome animal. And he paints quite a majestic figure sitting atop that. Normal people would probably be pretty scared if they were in his way, anyway. As you're having this conversation. And so you're all together again.
Nice. Very nice.
Is Taslin passed out?
No.
So what'd you learn?
I don't know.
He's talking about the axe.
I don't know.
Taslin.
I don't know. It didn't work. It's magical, but it didn't tell me.
Taslin, you're disappointing me, son. You're disappointing me.
My spell worked. This axe sucks. And he's just gonna like slide it on the stone of the ground towards. I don't think he can even see Wampum. I think he's like staring up at the sky. And he's like,
I help guide his arm.
It's the I don't know. It's too good. I'm sorry, Axe. I didn't mean to insult you.
So Wampum just shakes his head, laughing, and grabs the axe, and lets everybody know that he's going to go up to the shrine at the mines. It's a 2 to 3 hour trip up to the foothills of the spine of the mountains, spine of the world.
Wait, are you doing this now? Because Mama T said we're going to celebrate tonight.
Yes, I will be back in time.
You're doing this alone?
I think I should.
Okay. You would know.
So I'm gonna grab up the axe and start trotting away to the shrine.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna toss him my potion of superior healing and just be like, just in case.
This is morning time, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you guys arrived around like 10-ish. So after all this has happened, you're kind of like right at about like noon. All things considered, the travel, the songs, the reunion, having a bath and all that stuff. So it's like it's around noonish, maybe slightly thereafter. You don't have like a digital watch, but the sun is like almost directly high in the sky, kind of thing. Yeah. Are you going just like your fancy clothes, your big hat, your potion of supreme healing, and this one axe because the others are turned in?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Wampum trots off. Is there anything in particular the rest of you would like to be doing for the next 6-ish hours at least while he be gone? 5, 6? 4, 6?
Are you guys sure about? We came to a consensus about keeping the rugs, right?
Yeah.
You guys want to do that? We're just gonna hold on to those.
It's entirely up to you, mate.
Well, I figured if we're gonna keep them, I'll head back through the teleportation network. I just go to Waterdeep and then go talk to that guy real quick, the gentleman that sold them to us, and just let him know that I'll be keeping them, and then come back.
Couldn't you just send him?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to. So I'm going to go do that. If anybody has any objections except for Taslin, I'll let them be heard now.
No objections, mate, but I reckon since I'm carrying this one, it doesn't make sense for you to bear the full cost of that. So how much was it again? And I'll pay for this one.
Well, I believe the total cost was 10,000 gold pieces. But I can, if you'd like, I can take both of them back and show him what condition they're in, and we can work out what. Well, he doesn't need to see them. He knows what they were like before when he sold them to us, so that's what they would be worth to him.
So your plan is to turn them back in for the rental cost you were hoping for, right? You paid full price,
right? So
and asked about renting, and he was like, "We'll see if you bring it back, and then maybe we can talk about that sort of thing."
Right. So I've paid full price already, so it's the price I would have to pay if I wanted to buy them.
Yeah.
So I don't need to take them with me. I could just go back there and just be like, "Hey, I'm going to keep them," because Kale told him that he'd come bring them back, and he just feels like he should go. Yeah, as long as he has the opportunity easily to go talk to him in person and let him know that that will not be the case, and he can keep the money.
Is there one of those teleportation circles in Mirabar that you guys have access to?
Yeah, the network. Yeah.
Yeah, then you could venture off via teleportation circle to go in and stop and have a conversation with them. Are you going by yourself?
If no one else wants to go, yeah, that's fine. If anybody needs something picked up in Waterdeep, I'd have to grab it.
I'm gonna stay here and look after the.
I need to be picked up.
Great. Okay. Then I'm gonna go do that. If anything goes wrong, I have sending stones for each of you to send you one time, and I'm sure I'll be getting a sending from Wampem or Taslin that means nothing soon. All right, bye.
All right, so you take off through the town to go seek out and travel to Waterdeep. Anything else anyone else would like to do while Wampum's gone?
Yeah, I'll be talking to Taslin at some point.
Babysitting, okay. Oh, talking to him. All right.
Talking to him.
And Lefcadio, any special plans? We don't have to do it right now, but just kind of getting an idea of what you're all wanting to do while he's gone, if anything.
I'll just head back to the Iron Forge and just listen to any performers and see if I pick up any rumors. I have no idea what I might hear, but
Yeah.
Old habits die hard.
That makes sense. You never know, right? Okay. So I think this is probably slightly early, but maybe this is a good time to take our break, refresh our drinks, have our one function and all that. And then we'll come back and we'll start with Wampum and take you on your journey. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yes.
Sweet. We'll be back shortly. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for hanging out while we got ourselves sorted and prepared for the second, little more than half of our adventure today. Oh, and we lost to Kale. That's okay. I'm sure he'll come back.
I'm still here. I'm
okay.
doing things that people shouldn't have to look at.
He's just going to Waterdeep.
That's true. He left to go to Waterdeep. That's fair. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. Let's go ahead and we'll finish with with Wampum's journey. So, Kale, is there anything you go back and you basically tell the guy that you're going to keep him? Is there anything in specific that you want to say to him, or is this more of like a just like tying up loose ends kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything specific to say to the guy.
Okay. When you come back, as you're walking through that part of town, you do happen to notice that a couple of people look at you, and there's like a glimmer of recognition in their eyes, and they kind of scowl at you a little bit and like mutter to people. Mutter to each other under their breaths, and there's a few people that kind of point, and there's like there's an old woman who just shakes her head as you're heading into the shop.
What? Me in Waterdeep?
Yeah.
What kind of people?
Just like common folk going about their business. A couple were like shopkeepers. One of them looked like maybe like employed by the shop or like a patron or something like that. Just like out and about, going about their business.
I would like to ask the shopkeeper about that, I guess.
The one that sold you the rugs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like, hey, first off, hello. I'm sure you remember me. I have one of the rugs with me. The other one still with my friends. We decided to just go ahead and keep them if that's all right with you. I know I already paid full price for them, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was all right between the two of us.
I didn't expect you to come back anyway.
Great. Wonderful. Side note, why is everyone being the way they're kind of giving me the stink eye and stuff? Why are they doing that? Do you have any idea?
Came tearing through the streets at some ungodly hour of the morning, yelling at the top of your lungs, and you don't understand why people might be slightly miffed. Not very insightful, are you?
Well, all right. Low blow. Seems weird that word would spread so quickly. That was only a few hours ago. And suddenly everyone knows exactly what I look like and who I am, and that I was the person running around at the ungodly hour of the morning when nobody's awake, apparently. And they all...
You woke us all up.
Well, everybody looked out their windows and got a big fat glimpse.
I mean, you're wearing the same thing you were earlier when you yelled and woke us all up. And most of us live above or behind our shops, so you basically walked down the street and woke us up in the middle of the night, and I was the only one who decided I would stay up, basically, because I thought maybe you'd buy something. And I'm glad I did, I have to say. That was a really lucrative arrangement for me, but they didn't really get anything except woken up in the middle of the night, so.
I see. Is there an organization that produces broadsheets of some kind for the city? Like a newspaper or something like that? Town criers, maybe. Some sort of guild for that, I'm sure.
The guilds have their own newsletters that go about to the patrons that sign up for them, pay them for them, or contribute a yearly fee sort of thing. There are bards. He thinks about it for a second. He's like, oh, there's the city sort of notice board.
What would you say is the fastest way to disseminate information throughout the entire city?
Commission a bard to write a song? Or something like that? Post a notice on the notice board? Get in touch with the guild? Are you trying to make nice with the other people you woke up in the middle of the night?
Well, I want to let them know why we woke them up.
Well, being that we're all here doing business, perhaps the Merchants Guild?
Merchants Guild. All right. I will go find the Merchants Guild headquarters and I will speak with them. I apologize for waking you and all of your community members up at an ungodly hour of the morning. I don't like that choice of wording, but it is what it is. And I'm glad we got to do business. I hope that I can set the record straight for everybody.
What record are you setting straight exactly?
Oh, I'm just gonna let everybody know why.
Oh, I wasn't sure if this was like in character, out of character. Sorry, my bad.
No, it wasn't character. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Man, I got really confused for a second there.
That's why I gotta do a voice, man. Like
That's fair.
I gotta do some sort of voice,
So you want to buy a spot in the newsletter?
Yeah.
Send out a missive for you if you'd like. Post something on the board.
That's something you do also, or?
Wait. So did you
say...
go to the Merchants Guild?
Oh,
or are you
yeah,
still talking to the shopkeeper?
I thought, okay, let's...
See, this is why I get confused. I was like, man, we made a quick transition there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm a new person now. Sure, great. Yeah, let's go. So you go to the Merchants Guild,
there we go.
and you find someone who is in charge of the sort of like literature and distributing information. And you're asking them, you can set the record straight, and your options are to buy a spot in the newsletter, to post it would be like more expensive to do that, less expensive to like post something on their board, and then to send out an individual letter to like everyone who is a member, or to individual like patrons of the or members of the guild would like vary in cost depending on how many people you wanted to send a like general missive to.
I want to get the word out to as many people as possible, as fast as possible. So whatever the most expensive option is, I imagine, is what I want.
Personally delivered letters to everyone that's a member of the guild?
Sure, if that's the fastest way to get word out. That's
How
what
fast do you want to get it out?
It doesn't have to be immediate, I guess, but within the next 10 day, I guess, would be.
They kind of like, they've got like some books and some like paperwork in front of them. They're kind of flipping through a few things. We could have some couriers go out and deliver messages personally in writing or verbally to people within a 10-day, 20 gold.
All right. Sounds fair. I'll get the 20 gold out and I'll give it to him and I'll say, do you need me to write? Actually, I will write it. I don't want anyone to dictate it for me. I'll write it, and then if you guys could copy it, that'd be great.
What do you write?
I write residents of Waterdeep. You may have been aroused in the early hours of the morning on date and by myself and my party searching for a merchant to help us transport ourselves to where we needed to go. What do you say? Some of you may have heard, because I did inform the Black Staff some time ago, that there was a shadow dragon layered in a mountain range just off the trade way, harassing travelers between here and the northern Sword Coast. My group and I, in the light of the gods of good and justice, have dispatched with this evil creature and made safe the trade route between your city and the northern Sword Coast. So stop being such assholes. No. We require no payment or accolades. I just wish to ensure that everybody was informed of the activities outside the city. Go with the light of Denier, Lord of Glyphs, etc., Scribe of Agma, titles, Kaelarvine.
Postscript additional titles. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Go ahead and just make a persuasion roll just to see, like, how smoothly this goes.
8.
Okay.
Remember, you have that reroll.
You do.
This is a good opportunity to use it. I'm going to do it. I'll roll a different die. Here goes my reroll. 21.
Ah, there you go.
Hey.
So you knew, as you're like sitting and revising this letter, you had good like thought processes originally, but some of the phrasing was perhaps a little too harsh in some places, or it kind of like was a little disorganized, and you kind of like write it out and you're like, I can make this better. And then what you craft is what you believe to be a really beautifully crafted letter that you think will sway the hearts and minds of the populace in your favor, and perhaps make them slightly less miffed about being woken up in the middle of the morning a couple days ago.
Good.
Perf. And Nas wanted to have a conversation with Taslin.
Yeah, he mentioned that he wanted to be picked up, so I'm gonna pick him up first. Hold him like I do, like I do these fellows in my party whenever I'm coming to the rescue, like a baby in my arms. And I'm gonna say, I think it's about time we find your room. Don't you think?
Hey, you!
Hey.
What? When did you get here?
I am. Think of me as always here. I am your guardian angel.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go find your room now.
No, I have things I have to do.
Oh yeah, like what? Now I'm gonna start walking towards where I know that he will put up.
Like, be here.
To do what?
To do things and stuff.
I don't believe you. It's very vague.
I can't spill all of my secrets.
How come?
Because they're secrets.
But I'm your friend. I'm a really good friend.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I'm like the person that you tell things to.
But I gave you a ring.
You did. You did do that.
So you won't burn up.
Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna go attune to it as soon as I know that you're cared for.
I'll be fine in like a few hours.
Until then, perhaps.
Would you rather have me sleep? I can't even sleep. I can't even sleep it off. Because I don't sleep.
Okay, stop flailing. Stop flailing. It's very difficult to hold you while you're doing that.
Make a Constitution save, by the way.
Okay. I closed out of it. All right, let's see. Constitution check. A 10.
Okay. You're to that like woozy stage where everything's just a little bit funny and your eyes are having trouble focusing, but you're good other than that.
All right. But what if the wizard comes and he's like, "You killed a dragon and."
Okay, all right, just all right, stop. If you don't wanna be put to bed for a nap, you don't have to. I will put you down here, and I'll put him down kind of like, you know how we got a courtyard here? There is gonna be like a porch with some pillars, and I'll put him down the edge of the porch so he can actually sit up and lean against the pillar if he wants to. And then I'm gonna be like, dump him! Can we get maybe a blanket over here?
While she's doing that, I'm going to use the ring of invisibility and go invisible, when she takes her eyes off.
I will reach out and grab him so he can't get away that fast.
But yeah, I think at this juncture it's pretty safe to say that you can't exactly like get up and run away.
Yeah.
So you reach out and just go ahead and make like a general like acrobatics or athletics check just to reach out and grab properly. He is invisible, but you know where he's at, so you have advantage.
And he's also not moving.
21.
Yeah. So you see out of the corner of your eye the disappearance and just like grab a fistful of cloth.
Is your deal? Why are you acting like you're in trouble? I want to give you a gift, motherfucker.
Well, I'm right
Stay
here.
put long enough for me to do that.
Oh, okay. I will stay right. Oh, my stomach. Here.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go now, and I'm gonna give you a gift. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And I'll reach into my pack and pull out a swaddle of like cheesecloth that's like this big. And then within the cheesecloth, there are a bunch of other things tied up in cheesecloth. She's gonna pull out first, as Thumpum gives me a blanket potentially. I will also ask for some fresh milk. So while he goes off to do that, I unwrap one of the packs, and it is it looks like a roll, but it's kind of sticky. And she hands it to him. And I just wanted to say that I was very impressed with how you handled Narenbane and his taunting. It is not difficult to tell that you're not fully behind kind of like the cycle that you're sort of trapped in. And I get that, and your companions, I think we all get that. So just wanted to say thank you for rejecting him outright like you did. I thought that was very impressive, given that you seem to have lived a life primarily of self-service, which I get. Like, that works for some people. But it's not just about you anymore, and I think that you recognize that. And I think that's really cool of you. And I just wanted, I got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of food stuff, because I just wanted to kind of like show you. I know that in the Shadowfell, everything's muted. I've been there. I've tasted the air. It tastes like nothing. So I got a bunch of stuff that I thought was like particularly flavorful. I don't know if you've had any of this before. This is a jelly roll. It's filled with jam. I think that I got something called Current. You might like it. And then this is some stuff that is like taffy, but it's a little bit more bitter. They call it licorice. It's for some people, it's like kind of like a love-hate thing. You either love it or you hate it. But it is very flavorful. And then over here we have 3 different kinds of hot peppers. Being inebriated as you are, you might want to start with that because those could be painful. And then here, thanks, Wampem. And then she pulls a little bit. She pulls a vial, not a vial, a glass bottle out and uncorks it. And she pours a little bit of the fresh milk in there, shakes it up like that, and then hands it to him and is like, "Taste this."
Downs it.
And what it is pumpkin spice tea with milk and cinnamon.
I thought you said we were friends. No kidding. Yeah, Tazzle downs it. That's very good.
Really?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, try the jelly rolls. Like nobody doesn't like those.
Taslin eats the jelly roll. I like these better. They are my favorite so far.
Cool. You wanna do you dare the chili pepper?
No.
Okay. We'll just better wait for later. If you ever are curious, these are just some of the things that you are helping, and I'm sure that the pumpkin spice tea is not going to help with this, but ignore that for a second. These are some of the things that you are helping the world keep. Some of the good things, and the rest of us appreciate. And when we do get to the Fortress of Memories, we will talk to her, and we will see if we can set you up with something that you actually want.
You know what I'm going to say when we get there?
Huh?
When we get there, I'm going to say this. I've been thinking about it a long time. Can you hear them? All these people who've lived in terror of you and your judgment. All these people whose ancestors devoted themselves, sacrificed themselves to you. Can you hear them? Oh, you like to think you're a god, but you're not a god. You're just a parasite, eaten with jealousy and envy and longing for the lives of others. You feed on them, on the memories of love and loss and birth and death and joy and sorrow. So come on then, take my memories. But I've lived a very long time, and I've seen things. I've seen sights that slice through the threads of the plains. I've seen dragons. I have fought beings powerful and terrifying. I have made friends, loves. I've built and broken and learned and forgot. And I have lost so much. And I want to be whole again. And not here.
Taz. It's okay. I don't care if a little bit gets on me. I'm gonna hold his hair.
Good friend.
Taz. I'm gonna allow him to do what he needs to do and wait to stop and take a breath and maybe ask Thumpum for some water instead. Thanks, bud. Taz, have you talked to your fellow dusky elves to see if they feel the same way? Because there's this thing that you're doing for you, which is totally you are the master of your own. You should be the master of your own life, afterlife, everything. Your soul should be yours. I agree with that. But on the other hand, do you know if everybody else feels the same as you, and whether or not you actually have the right to demand that for them if they don't want it? You know? Am I making any sense?
Why wouldn't they? Why would they side with you-know-who if they didn't feel that way?
Well, I may not know because I am not of that ilk, but just because we don't know doesn't mean that those reasons don't exist. I mean, we should ask, right?
I think they want what I want.
How do you know that?
Because I remember who I was, and I'm not that person anymore. And I think Taslim passes out.
Oh.
Convenient.
I knew I should have taken him to a bed. Okay, well, I will do that now. Clean him up.
Yeah. You basically anything like that you ask for, like warm rags, water, that sort of thing, anyone can bring to you easily enough. And there are places for everyone that they can stay, so you can kind of wipe them off, get them tucked in. Elves really sleep, so he's kind of in that trancey, sort of not paying attention to what's going on around him, like a deep trance.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but I like to imagine his eyes are rolled back into his head and he's doing the Undertaker thing.
Yeah, fluttering and stuff.
It's very disturbing.
For sure. And Lefkadio, anything in particular you're doing while Wampum's gone for the next couple of hours?
Just hanging out at the tavern, collecting rumors if there are any rumors.
Right, you said that. Go ahead and make an investigation check or persuasion if you're planning on kind of whether you're just listening, if it's just listening to see what you can pick up, investigation or perception, but if you're kind of inserting yourself into conversations tactfully and seeing if you can suss things out, then that would be more persuasion.
I am definitely inserting myself and just being generally friendly. 17.
Okay. The current bard is singing a song about the battles between the orcs and dwarves of old, and how the dwarves have now, after the unjust suffering in the hands of the orcs, are now thriving again, and the spirits are high in the tavern. And as far as rumors, there's little things going on around town about a sickness that's been kind of weird that people haven't been able to kind of pinpoint, and there's talk about Wampem obviously coming home already. It's kind of spread enough, especially here, where you've already had your performance earlier on. So people are talking about it and that they've heard there's some to-do going on, essentially. And other little things that, about the changing of the seasons and the finely crafted wares that are going out, that they fetched a high price last time, and there's expecting some additions to the town, investing in the, what are they called? The jeweled something or other leaders. I forget their name at the moment. Are planning on creating something in the town with the sort of surplus that they've created after there was a particularly lucrative section of ore that was delivered that created some really good weaponry and stuff like that. Just kind of general things going on about.
I think if I would have heard about this strange disease or sickness, I would have tried to get more information on that so I could share that with Kale later.
Okay. So it's like hearing it secondhand from common folk. You hear that it spreads pretty easily the first couple of days someone's sick. So once somebody is like impacted by it, usually anyone that lives in their home also falls ill, and the healers are having, depending upon their level of skill, success or not success treating it. And it's been kind of slow going in the area. And there's like the rumory sort of bit of it where there's two people talking, where somebody says that they think that there's more to it than what they're letting on, and the clerics aren't really telling everyone the full story. And then the other one says, of course, that's nonsense. It's just something new, and that happens sometimes, and people get sick and they'll figure it out. And in that conversation, if you wanted to steer it one way or the other, you could totally do that with how persuasive you are as an individual, or it could be more just like asking them questions.
I think I'd be interested in learning, when it started, or if it started with a particular person. So I'd be very interested and on the edge of my seat listening to this. And he's like, oh, where did this all start?
And the two of them, they're kind of like feeding back and forth off of each other at this point, and like quaffing ale as they're talking. And so it gets like a little bit sloppier as the time goes on. Neither of them are sure of who patient 0 was, but they know that it's been harder to treat some people than others, and they are not sure why, but there was some talk about how the longer you have it, the more it kind of like takes hold, and it's difficult for the healers to really sort of like restore them to their full vitality. And that there's been sort of like talk around the town where the clerics have basically sent out word to let people know that if someone appears to be coughing, to kind of like distance yourself from them. Like it seems to be sort of somewhat airborne as far as they can tell. And again, this is like third person talking, and it's been going on for maybe a month or so now. 2 10-day, something along those lines. Some of the patients some of the people who have had it the longest are the ones who are the most difficult to treat, and they've been stuck in the sick houses for quite some time, and they've only heard of maybe 2 or 3 deaths so far, and one they were all like older people, older humans who obviously aren't as strongly constituted as we dwarves are, that kind of thing. So it's like not terribly new, but fairly new, at least to this area, or some sort of like what they thought is just a normal cough as the weather turns out to be something worse, and that's what's making it so challenging with treating it, they're saying. So, if you have a cough, you have to go and see them right away because it could be this thing.
Excellent. All right. Well, I file all that away and make a note to mention it to Kale next time I see him.
Okay. So that brings us to Wampem. So Wampem, tell me about the journey to this forge shrine.
It's at the foothills of the spine of the world. It's about 2.5 hours out of Mirabar. It's up in the mines. It's a very clear trail. There's wagons. There's a wagon trail from the mines down to Mirabar. So it's a very cut and clear trail. It's a nice ride. A lot of scenery. You're coming from the flatlands, and then you're starting to get the hills, and then you see the mountains in the distance. So it is a very scenic and peaceful ride.
What are you thinking about on your way there as you're taking in this beautiful scenery and the sounds of the midday animals and as the sort of like trees kind of fall away and you're more in this like mountainous region and there's the like light streaming in and you can see the like snow-capped mountains reflecting and shining brightly in the distance. What is Wampem thinking about?
The peace. I mean, he's home, so he's feeling the peace, the tranquility, the stress of his couple-year-long mission of revenging his family is done. He feels like he has, in a way, forsaken Morden during those years. So he really is looking forward to the shrine, to be at peace with Morden, to touch his deity again. And he's wondering if Morden is angry or disappointed, or if he's understanding with what Wampem had to go through. So he's kind of anticipating not knowing whether it's going to be received well or if he's going to get a scolding.
Gotcha. So the sort of like gentle scenery and the calm of the atmosphere, there's still that sort of like twinge in the back of your mind of not knowing exactly how this meeting's going to go. So as you continue on the path and the city and the like lowlands kind of fall away and the really fresh, clear mountain air is filling your lungs, and even though there's that sort of doubt in the back of your mind, you are having like a pleasant and sort of that peaceful sereneness that washes over someone when they're at home and they feel like most things are right, and you've had such a tumultuous time recently, and after just finishing defeating this longtime enemy, there is that sort of like calm after the storm where everything feels all right, and now you're focused on where you're going. And the journey goes, the time passes as it should, but because there's so much contemplation going on, it's almost as if you reach it, and when you're driving and you're like going home after work and you get home and you're like, I don't really remember the drive.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah. And so there's like the impression of these feelings and these emotions that you've been processing, and this worry that you have, as well as the sort of like joy of being home and the excitement about the celebration tonight. And you're essentially at the like entrance to where you're wanting to go. Or would you say that this is outside or inside? You said it's in the mines, right? Like down deep near a forge.
No, it's actually outside. It's
outside. Okay.
It's to the right of the main entrance to the mine, and it's up probably a good 150 feet onto a precipice of a hillock.
Okay. Do you have to climb up there, or is that something you can ride? Okay.
There is a staircase going up.
Okay.
It's cut
into the side of the mountain sort of thing.
Yeah, but I will leave I will leave my mount down at the bottom.
Are they well trained enough that they need to be hitched, or are they fine until you come back?
They're fine until they come back.
Okay. So you leave, and its head kind of goes down as it's like sniffing around the ground, and just kind of taking in its surroundings and being aware of what's going on around it. And you're able to descend the stairs. You see that at this point, after the few hours have passed, the sun has shifted more to the side in the sky, and it's casting long shadows on the one end against this sort of like mesa precipice. That's the word you used. And so there's this like deep shadow in the side that's cast over the entrance of the mine. And you can kind of see almost like gleaming in the sunlight at the top of these stairs, this shrine. You can see the anvil shape and the sort of flame that comes off the top of it. And it almost, in the light of the sun, the flame almost looks alive, as if it's dancing, like an actual flame rather than this statue tribute shrine that you know it to be. Is there anything in particular you do before you climb up the stairs or on your way up or anything like that?
When I get to the top of the stairs, I will go down to all fours and I will slowly start crawling to the entrance. And when I get to the actual entrance of the shrine, I'll just stay there for a few minutes on all fours, and then I'll slowly get up and then slowly walk towards the shrine.
Okay. So as you're crawling across the floor, you can feel the warm sun kind of fade away a little bit as the up further in the mountains, the cool air has a stronger presence, and it's the stone under your hands is really cold as you're crawling as well. Like cooled probably a little bit by the sun, but also more cool than you would assume that it would normally be. And you make your way across, and you can kind of feel the sort of juxtaposition of the warmth that seems to radiate from the shrine itself in a way, kind of commingling with the warmth of the sun that's having trouble kind of getting through the cold of the surroundings that you can feel. And when you get, how close to the shrine do you want to be?
I want to go up to the actual stone shrine itself, and I'll take out the axe that I got from Narrowvein, and I'll place that on the stone, and I'll say, hear me, Moradin. We vanquished Narrowvein. I got this from his treasure hoard. I see that it has your mark on it. My party member Taslin says that it is magical, but it's blocked from his sight. I want to offer this axe as a tribute. I know that I have not been a very good student lately. I was too angry. I was way too angry and hurt to think about ye. I had to revenge my name. I had to revenge me father. So on the bloodbath that I took me friends through, I still regret it. But it's done. The honor for me family has been restored. I want to feel ye power again. I want you to give me the wisdom to know this enemy that we are against. I want you to give me the strength to defeat them. I want you to give me the constitution to withstand their blows. I want you to make me your right arm so I can deal with this divinity enemy that is somehow, some way stealing the divinity from our lords. I want you to hear me more than that. I am yours to manipulate. I am ready to do whatever it takes, whatever ye see fit. Ye tell me what to do.
Go ahead and make either a religion or persuasion check with advantage.
Persuasion. That is a 19 plus 5, 24.
There's this moment where the wind that had been passing through the area stills so suddenly that you can feel the pressure of it on your skin, and almost as if your skin pushes back for a moment, and the sort of like dust, like motes of dust you can see kind of suspended in the light where it's like streaming in against the like darkness and the shadows cast. They kind of stop moving for a moment, and you hear a voice say, "Kin of my creation, child of the dwarves, and of my own. Not sonly nor, but close, a follower. Anger can sometimes rule over us and can sometimes be a tool. Like any tool, like any blade, it has to be folded and strengthened and sharpened, honed. Without that refinement, lacks direction and strength. Show me your conviction." And you see the symbol that was on the axe kind of like flare up, and the entire weapon is wreathed in this like white hot flame. And you can tell that it's warm, but you don't feel like you can't touch this. And then you hear a sound shift behind you. And from the corner of your eye, you can see movement.
And I will grab the actual symbol on the axe, and then I will slowly turn around to see what is there.
Behind you, you see a tall, hulking figure, green-skinned, thick tusks, yellowed, rage in their eyes, no discernible armor, but covered in pelts. This hulking orcish being who holds a great axe in his hands, and is kind of like the sort of like snarly smile that somebody gets before the like fun of battle, when they take joy and sort of rage that comes with battle. There's that sort of sneer on their face as they heft it and charge at you. Go ahead and roll initiative for me.
That is a 10 plus 7, 17.
All right, you will go first. This figure is charging at you. What would you like to do?
You do not belong here. And I am going to charge him as he is charging me. And I am going to swing. First swing, it is a nat 20.
All right. So what I want you to do, you are going to go ahead and roll 2d10. And then I want you to double that.
That is a 9 and 7. So that's a 16, double 32.
Okay. And then what is your normal like strength modifier and all that good stuff?
7.
7. Okay. So you feel the power of some divinity coursing through you. This flame, you can feel the heat of it licking against your skin, but when you touch the weapon itself, you feel no pain. It's like searing white hot.
I am also going to use a superiority die.
Okay.
And I want him to make a strength check. That is going to be a DC 18. I am going to try to make him drop his weapon.
Oof, natural 20.
But he is going to take, if it's doubled, that's 3 doubled, another 6 points of damage.
Another 6 points of damage. So that's 55 points of damage, all told, in one swing. I love it. So you feel the power coursing through you, and you make one swift attack, and it connects with both the weapon. As you try to disarm them and his grip holds firm, you're able to push that forward, and the weapon is driven into him as the blade of the axe also sinks deeply into his chest. You can hear the cracking of bone and blood starts spewing out. And you notice as this is happening, and I know you have more attacks, But the minute your blow it connects, this rush of wind and movement happens all around you, and what you're watching is how much do you know about the history of this area, actually? Just question. You grew up around here, and as a dwarf, I think you would know the history of this forge, at least in moderation.
Yes.
And in this area, there was once like a great city that was lost after a skirmish with the orcs. And you see like almost like golden spectral images of dwarves and orc fighting against each other, and great blows, and friends, you assume, or at least like kin of yours, are being felled, and the orcs are wiping their blood across their face and making war cries of victory in battle as they're cutting down the last of the like dwarven kin around you. So go ahead and make your next attack.
$14 on the die.
Okay, yeah, that hits too. Go ahead and roll an additional. Roll your 2d10.
5 and a 3.
5 and a 3. Okay, and then your modifier is a 7, right?
7.
7. Okay, so that's 8. So it's 15. And then you have a third attack. Okay, go ahead and make your third attack.
That is a 17 on the die.
That hits as well. 2d10 again.
I'm going to try to trip him this time.
Okay.
So let's see. That's an extra D10.
Okay.
You need to make a strength save.
Strength save. Okay.
7, 7, and 2.
Oof. Well, you go to try to trip him, and although his stance stays firm as your final blow hits him, you can feel under like the pressure of your hit, his body start to collapse. I'm going to make a con save really quick. He doesn't make it. Okay, so in a single a flurry of attacks, just imbued with this sort of power you can sense behind you, as you can see what were your ancient kin falling all around you, you fell this warrior in front of you, and there's this like surge of like joy and warmth and approval in you, and you can feel the like where before there were like death throes and the cries of your kin as they were falling, you can hear cheering around you, and there's that chanting begins. It's really, really quiet at first.
I am going to drag him off of the shrine site. He is not going to disgrace this site again.
Okay. So you drag him, do you like throw him over the edge?
Yes.
Or, okay. So you get to the end and you heave this body off the side, and as it crosses over the threshold of the edge of the platform, it like peels away almost and turns into this like dark ash and flows off in the wind, and it scatters all around the ground around you and like swirls and falls where all these like spectral battles you could see in the corner, or not in the corner, in your like periphery were taking place. And there's this like general sense of calm and stillness and peace, as if you have brought retribution again to a great injustice done to your people. And as if someone had told you they were proud of you, that sort of sense of pride that can well up just sort of naturally wells up inside of you.
I'm going to slowly walk back to the shrine and just bow my head.
As you walk back, you see the streak of blood that had been on the floor from where you had picked him up or drug him and peed him off the side. It slowly just kind of like burns up as if it never existed, or as if the like heat of the flame that you're carrying almost just kind of evaporates it as soon as you get anywhere close. And you hear, "Once chosen were called Solinar.
Solinar.
And although your journey and your strengths are different, you may count yourself among them. And I will be with you, prodigal wayward son who has returned home, who has restored honor, who has venged those who have done his kin, my kin, wrong. And I will lead you as I always have my people. And you feel the sort of like the flames themselves kind of subside into the weapon, but it's almost as if the warmth kind of gets absorbed back into it almost, and you can kind of feel this like tingly like energy coursing through you. And it almost as if it bounces around, like looking for a home, and just settles right back into the axe itself. And there's like this palpable, like if you've ever played baseball and you hit a particularly good like pitch with a metal bat, and there's that tingly pressure in your hands, that's what you're feeling almost, as it's like almost resonating and kind of not pushing against you, but there's that like palpable sense to it. And go ahead.
I will not disappoint you, my lord.
Of that I have no doubt.
And I'll slowly just back away until I reach the entrance, and then I'll turn around.
Okay. And as you're backing away, you can see the sun that had been streaming in, it had kind of almost like lit the structure meant to represent the flame on top of the anvil. As it's still being impacted by the light, and it's still brightly lit, but that sort of almost like dancing like luminescence it had before is slowly fades as you walk away, and the warm sun returns to a normal temperature on your skin, and the cool air resumes kind of flowing naturally through the mountains, and you realize that you weren't hearing the sounds of the nature around you, and the chanting that had been coursing through the background slowly fades away with a few like shield sort of clashes, kind of just fades into the distance.
And I'll slowly make my way down and mount up, and I'm heading back a lot quicker than I came here.
Okay. If you took like a normal walking pace and it took 2.5 hours to get there, then I'm not exactly sure how quickly a board travels, but you could dash for a time and let it rest periodically, and and you could probably get back in maybe an hour and a half, like at a good solid like alternating sprint. All right, perfect. So, Kale, how quick did you like come straight back after you completed your task? Is everyone going to be there when Wampem gets back, essentially?
Well, I would have. I was actually gonna stop at the Temple of the Seldarine first.
Okay.
Did you want to do that, or wait for everybody else to say what they were gonna do?
We can go, if you have like a thing you want to do. Does anybody else have anything they know they would be doing over the course of the next couple of hours? I think we kind of covered most of it, probably.
I'll just say that I'm actually in the same bed as Tazlin, just watching him, but also attuning to the ring.
Okay.
Tesla's asleep, or in a reverie.
Deep trance.
As long as he wakes up before the feast.
Okay. So going back to Wampum really quick, your journey back goes quickly. It's more present in your mind, and whether you choose to feel at peace or not is definitely up to you. But there is that sort of sense of someone like present. There's an entity that it's almost as if there's like a feeling of someone being next to you. You know, when you're alone in a room and you have like a sense that somebody has walked in, it's like that, but it's not unnerving necessarily. It's just present.
And I'll sit straighter and more proud in the saddle.
Okay. Yeah. So all told, you were probably gone for 2.5, 3, 4, about 5 hours by the time you get back. So, Kale, what were your plans?
So he would go in and he would ask if he could go down into like the crypt area where we went before, and we like defeated a bunch of shadow things to clean up the shrines. And he'd go down there, and he'd just kind of stand in the middle of the room. So if I remember correctly, there was a room that had like a statue of Coralon, like kind of in the middle, and then there's like the other Seldering just kind of around him. He would go there, and he'd get out some incense, and I don't know, some other stuff, some other offering appropriate to his religion worth at least 25 gold pieces, so that he could cast a divination spell as a ritual. And he would say he's not directing this at any particular god, he's just directing it at the Seldarine as a whole, I suppose. And he would say, I've avoided asking this question of you for a really long time because I never saw the importance in it. But I think recent events have shown me that it may be more important for me to know the answer to this question than I had previously thought. When I was last here, you told me that I possessed the soul of an elf. And I have been on and off searching for another one of your children. And I would like to take this opportunity to finally ask of you where I can find my mother.
Okay. So divination, like, there's an automatic connection, and you're asking any of the sort of elven pantheon, the brothers and the sisters of the wood, correct?
Yeah,
to see who will answer.
Or one of their servants. Yeah.
Okay. Give me just a second. I have to go open something.
This is the sort of thing I maybe should have discussed with you before the game.
You know, I think you briefly mentioned it at one point, and I was like, I should prepare for this. And so I did a bit, but I'm going to have to go get it, because I didn't have it pulled up.
I didn't really think about actually doing it until I was like, he'll probably go back. You can just teleport back to Waterdeep, like, just like that. So
Yeah, that's whatever.
might as well
do it
ask,
at some point.
you know?
Yeah. You don't get what you don't ask for. Okay. Let's see here. So you're sitting down in this crypt. It's dark. It's underground. There's a coolness in the air and like a stillness, a little bit of that like mustiness of like the way that an underground place can get because it doesn't have regular like ventilation like out in the normal like open air does. And then you start to hear the chirping of birds. And are you sitting? Are you kneeling? Are you standing? What is your current position?
Kneeling.
You're kneeling. The hard stone beneath you starts to feel a little bit more like sodden earth. Not sodden as in wet, like sodden as in like sod, like grass, soft grass and dirt under you. And you look down and you still see stone, but there's still like a softness to it that you just perceive for some reason. And there's a really, really soft voice that, well, how much do you want to know? Some things you might wish not to know in the end, and some things you might wish to know all of.
I would have the whole truth and nothing less.
Your mother lives. She's on another plane. machinations are of her own design. She has had some trouble. She seems to be trying to find a way out of it. Our strength is failing.
What plane? I guess if I could get more details, that'd be great. And if there's a price to be named, then name it.
We know you are working towards an end that already suits our interests. She is among a finer place than this. Walking in the wilds. Which you can infer to mean the Feywild, based on the way that it's like communicated and the sort of gods that you're speaking to.
Okay. Great. Is there anything more that you would be willing to give?
If you go searching for her, you will probably find her a troubled sort. Some people's minds are easier to take hold of than others. But that's not always irreversible. Preparation can help. If you so choose to go and save her.
And who am I speaking with, may I ask? Don't like that. Understood. Thank you for your time and wisdom. And
of course.
He'll try to will himself out of this. I don't know.
Go ahead and make an insight check for me.
Sure. I'll roll the purple one.
Ooh.
That didn't work out the way I had hoped.
Regret rolling the purple one.
Well, it's still an 18, I guess.
Still an 8. You're a cleric. It's an 18. You felt a divine presence. You, being a learned individual, well, how much do you know about the Feywild? Like, how much has Kale spent time studying it?
I wouldn't say a ton, but definitely he's researched it, like, to the degree that somebody maybe was interested, like, you're writing a novel and you're interested in some random subject, so you go on, like, Wikipedia and stuff and, like, read about it.
Yeah, YouTube hole, Wikipedia hole, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a history check with advantage.
Oh, advantage? Oh, wait, I don't think I have... Oh, crap. I used to have expertise in this skill, which I don't. So it's only a 17, sorry, plus 6.
So being a learned individual, even though as studious as you've been throughout your life, you kind of feel a little bit of the like aptitude that you had fading away from you as you're adopting your new powers. You still solidly are aware of the sort of ever-changing, fickle nature of the Feywild, its inhabitants, and all the gods of most of the gods of the elves, especially those who would be particularly attuned to the Feywild. The Fae are mischievous creatures. They are not necessarily ill-intended, but in the way that somebody in power might toy with somebody who is of lesser power just because it amuses them. That's the sort of general atmosphere of the Feywild. So you did feel a divine presence. You did feel, it might have felt intimidating, but there was definitely that sort of like toying with you. But all in all, you don't see any reason why, and you didn't detect any voice inflections or anything like that that indicates that there was any intent to mislead you. Speaking to a god or otherwise, like planar celestial type being, you know, they can be a little bit hard to read and are often cryptic, but it seems more like they were deigning to grace you with their presence and were entertained by feeding you bits and morsels rather than like making a game of it and leading you astray.
Okay, so like standard Archfey stuff. Sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, with that, if Kale gets to stop tripping out and be back in reality, he'll at that time head back to teleport back to Mirabar.
Okay. As you exit the sort of crypt area, you do hear like a faint giggle again, and sort of like as if it were coming from another room. Whether there is another room or not is I don't know, but that's like the sort of distant sound of it, and then you're able to easily exit and seek transport via the Harpers or however you would like to do so, and be back in time. You arrive well before Wampem does. So unless everybody has anything in particular that they'd like to do, then you're all hanging out wherever you would be hanging out as Wampem comes back home. No? Okay. So in the course of time that you have been gone, Wampem, you see that decorations have been put up. There are like lanterns with like candles strung up everywhere. The sort of like courtyard area has been decorated and prepared. There are tables and chairs that have been brought out, tablecloths down, a massive feast. There are 4 of the roast, was it spicy hog, you said? Yes, spicy hogs. There are honeyed meats, there are like baked fruits and glazed fruits, and there are like heavily seasoned vegetables. There's just like a really hearty, full feast waiting for you, and it's prepared and being finally set about the time you're coming back, knowing where you were going. This was planned for your arrival, should everything go as planned. There are 2 huge, not casks, but like not barrels, but casks, the big ones of Thunderbelly ale, just with spigots, just like out and on the ground. And there's places set for all of the clan, essentially, like family and everyone who like lives within here, and then anyone else you would invite from the town, any kind of like honored guests or what have you. So it's all there, and there are bards that have been hired and are coming and are making merry for everyone, and everything is sort of they've set everything up where the central focus is this monument that has been erected, and everything is kind of pointed that way. So if people are eating, the tables are kind of in this circular pattern around that, and it's meant to sort of like commemorate this as well as your return home.
Wampum will take out his crystal mug and go over and fill it up, and then he'll walk up on the platform right in front of his father and just look at him, touch the statue very gently, and let him know it's done. And then I will down the entire mug.
Tell me one thing that you remember about your father, like the way he spoke to you, or hugged you, or a pet name that he had for you, or something like that. Sounds like you already had an idea. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right before the battle started, it was always my job to start all the fires for all the boilers, and he told me to go up and start the fires, and I heard a lot of commotion, and the last picture I have of him is he was running up the hill. He had his armor on and his axe, and he told me to go to the mines, stay there till he came and got me. And I stayed there for at least 12 hours until I actually got the nerve, got the bravery to actually come down and check to see what had happened. But my very last vision of my father was him in his armor, his axe, and him turning around and running back towards.
Back home. So you reach up and you touch the face of this statue, and you can feel like side huggish style, like an arm over your shoulders and squeezing you. And you hear your father's voice in your head say, "It is done."
Aye, it is done.
Thank you.
I hope you be proud of me, Father.
And there's a go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's done.
And there's a tight squeeze on your shoulder, and then you almost like feel the pressure of the armor. You're not wearing any, so it's really easy to detect this. You know what it looks like. It's burned into your memory. The shape of the armor, the size of it, the pauldrons, the color even of it. You just feel the shape of that hug you tightly and disappear.
And then I'll turn around and I'll yell to the crowd, "Let's get drunk!"
The bands pick up the music and start playing twice as loud as they were before, and there's general like merriment, and people are going to come by and talk to you all night to ask you about your adventures. All of you, they know that you're all family. You're part of this clan. You're part of the family now. You've all been accepted into this circle, and so each of you are treated as favored sons and daughters, and this is a welcome home for Wampem, but for everyone. And they want to hear everything about what you've been doing. What you tell them is up to you, but it's basically an entire celebration of you and everything you've accomplished, and the work you're doing. If you tell them, it basically just they're there to be glad in you for the entire rest of the evening. Anything in particular you want to do? Go ahead.
I'm gonna go fill me up again, and then go have a seat next to Mom.
And you come and sit down by Mama, and she kind of like puts her arms around your arm and hugs you to her, pats you on the back. Says, Did you find what you were looking for?
In more than one way, Mama. Morden is very happy with us as a clan, and Father is here.
You say that, and you can like see her expression change, not necessarily negatively, but there's that like choking back of emotion, and she just buries her head into your shoulder, but not in like a sobby way, and just like a really grateful, like. And she squeezes you and says, "You did this."
No, we did this.
She picks up her glass. And drinks.
Where's the damn music?
The bards start playing more furiously. Like the song changes. They you can see one of them like look off to the side, and somebody else in robes comes up, and they start casting spells. And you guys have all seen Kale do thaumaturgy, and so thaumaturgy is being cast to like as almost like a PA system, kind of like make it louder for everyone. Yeah, there's very loud music and the general din of a very happy crowd.
And I'll tell my mother, we have to leave in the morning.
I'm glad you were home for a night. I hope you come home more quickly next time. Or after less time has passed.
I plan on it.
She like takes your head in her hands again
And we'll bang a little bit more forceful this time.
yeah. I love it. Anyone else have anything that they plan to do during the rest of the celebration?
Drink some water.
Drink some water.
I
Yeah.
am going to make sure that Tazlin has the fur of the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do. Can elves get hangovers because they can't get sick, right? No, that's not elves. I'm
That's
thinking
like
of something completely
halflings.
different. Yeah, that's
that's
what I'm thinking. Just kidding. Yeah. What were you going to say, Kale?
Is Fairbar like? Is this all like underground?
No.
Okay, it's like open air. Okay. Well, as was mentioned in the last episode, I believe, we got level 15. So, Kale, well, might not need to do this. Describe the weather to us, Katie.
Are we flexing them big spells now?
So I know what you're gonna do. No, so the morning was very clear. It is autumn, and so there is the evening goes on, and the shadows grow longer, and the sun starts to set not behind the mountains because they're to the north, but starts to set behind the horizon. And there's a sort of like beautiful purple and orange, sort of like twilight sunset sky that is obscured by some clouds, but there is that sort of like cold whip in the wind and that sort of dampness that does threaten to rain a little bit.
Perfect. Kale will spend some time. He'll just like he'll find a tree somewhere and he'll like rip a little bit of bark off it and he'll just whip some dirt and he'll light some incense with a firebolt and just kind of drop the dirt and the wood next to it and say some prayers for about 10 minutes. And actually he'll set himself down because he's going to have to stay there to keep this up. But he is going to cast the control weather prayer. And he's going to make it not cloudy and not raining and a little bit warmer. I assume that's what people would like. He'll make the weather perfect. And I guess if people, if anybody asks him, I don't know how they would know he's doing this. But if anybody asks him, he'll take requests for what to do to the weather. And like every 10 minutes, he can change it more. Or no, it's 1d4 times 10 minutes to change it. But whatever, he's got 8 hours of this shit going. So.
I love it. Yeah, so you're able to initially clear the sort of clouds out of the sky, and this is really easy for pretty much anyone except maybe some of the common folk to notice, as these clouds that had been hovering in the sky, and there were a few darker ones that sort of like threatened rain, they just shift along the sky as if they're being parted. So that you notice. Do you do this in the middle of the celebration, or are you going like outside the compound to do this, like off in a corner, or?
He has to concentrate, so he'd be near the celebrations, not completely apart from it, but like not in it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So people, especially in your area, and probably the rest of you, would notice Kale over there doing something, and all of a sudden these clouds start moving out of the sky, and that sort of dampness in the air dissipates. And the wind, there's the cold wind that's kind of whipping through that shows that sort of like autumn nighttime chill. But with the cold wind, there's a general like warm presence, or maybe like another warm wind that's kind of swirling with it. So it creates this really like temperate environment that's not necessarily too warm or too cold, and you feel like you get to kind of like enjoy like almost like being around a campfire where it's warm on one side and cool on the other, and that's kind of the presence of the atmosphere. I don't know that anyone that would be like common folk would think to come ask you to change the weather, but you all probably would infer that this Kale has something to do with this, and if you would like for him to change it, you could. Or if you tell people, then they would potentially ask.
I feel like he's just sitting there in front of this stuff, and his eyes are white, Storm from X-Men style.
I love it. You know what? Okay, let me see. There's one person. They look like they probably came with the bards. They're really like fancifully dressed, and they've got like a pile of things next to them, like they're watching equipment or something. And they kind of scuttle over. It's like a maybe like mid-20s-ish human male, and they're like, "Hey, there's something wrong with your eyes. You all right?"
There's nothing wrong, he'll say, and he'll take the drift globe and he'll tap it lightly, and it'll go and float like drift globes do. And he'll say, "This day and this celebration have been blessed by Denier." And as soon as he says the word Denier, the light spell will activate on the globe, and light shines out.
I love it. Yeah, it was getting on towards the evening where the light was being replaced, like the sunlight was being replaced by candles and torches and such anyway, and lanterns. So now where you're standing, you're kind of shedding this like floodlight almost across everything, and they look incredibly impressed.
Damn right.
Well, that's a neat trick. Not trick, probably not a trick. Probably a really well-honed skill, sorry.
It's merely the power of Denier flowing through me. Anyone with the appropriate amount of faith can do the same.
And they kind of like, they look at what you're doing and they like adopt the same stance. And like try to mimic your actions really well. And they're looking at the drift globe and trying to see if it changes. Like you can just tell by watching them. They like watch you and then they do what you do and they watch it.
Kale will kind of, as much as he can, while concentrating on controlling the weather, he will proselytize to them about, he'll extol to them the virtues of Denier and say, it's a long road, it's hard, but if you keep the faith for long enough and pass on knowledge to others and blah, 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 all that crap.
Yeah. So it starts out with one person, and people are drinking and like generally reveling, but this is kind of like a spectacle in a good way. And so while some people are really distracted by the food or the bands, you sort of like gather like a small crowd around you. And there's a few children, mostly dwarves, a lot of humans as well, and they're kind of like listening to you. And Kale, of course, is really emphatic and doesn't say all that stuff or whatever. And so, like, as you are doing this evangelizing, you can feel, when you're casting a spell, you always feel like a conduit, but there is this sort of, like, emboldened sense to it, where it's not necessarily that, like, your magic is particularly stronger in any way, but the connection is stronger and more tangible. And you can feel that where you're usually channeling from somewhere and out, it's almost like it's going back as well.
That's the idea, baby. Get some converts today.
Yeah. All right. And unless there's anything else in particular anyone wants to do, I think that's where we're going to call it today. Yay! Oh, that was wonderful, guys. Thank you. Oh, man. So, I always forget how we, like, do the exit. I'm never going to remember. I don't know. We introduce ourselves. We say our favorite thing, right? So, hi, Katie Quixotic. I'm the DM for today and every day on Saturday mornings. You can find me usually on Twitter and also on Twitch, and everywhere else is that too, but I'm usually only on Twitter and Twitch. And it's really hard for me always to say my favorite things about what happens because you're all so amazing to play with. So Tazlik's antics and you just being drunk Tazlin was amazing, Graham. That was so wonderful. And Casey, I just love Nas. I adore her. She's just so like she's such like I've said this before, like a stereotype breaker, but this like the caring, compassionate person and the like thoughtful gifts of bringing somebody food. Like, hey, these are simple comforts you've probably never had before. I love that. Threw me for a loop, asking about your mom, but that was a lot of fun too, and I'm interested to see where that goes. But also, just in general, the way you play Kale, Vinny, is super fun for me because, like, it's hard to play a religious person, I think, and not like feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And I always feel like there's something new every single time you talk about like the way you're doing something when you're like channeling into Kale's religion. And Carl, every time you gather information or like are doing just your like bardy stuff, I forget that you're not a bard. It's funny to me that I'm like, oh yeah, right. Actually, you're more luck. So you like, fit this role of the sort of like traveling minstrel really well, and I still am enjoying your songs from last week, but just I don't know. As a bard myself, I really enjoy the way that you play Lafcadio, and that's fun to me. And John, gosh, Wampem, everything is so wonderful about Wampem. Like, that whole thing today and the speeches and how thoughtful everything is, I just adore. So I'm running out of words at this point after talking for 3 hours, but like, it's just a joy to play with you guys every week. And I'm done now. You can go, Carl.
Aw, shucks. I'm Carl, and I was playing Lafcadio Whitehorn. You can find me at this time on this channel, on this day, in the future, perpetually, etc. My favorite part, again, everyone is amazing, and I feel lucky to play with everyone. I got a particular kick out of Nos providing these, simple things like jelly donut. I mean, yes, that would be amazing to someone who grew up presumably not having those things. And that's it. I'm going to throw it over to Vinny.
Hi, I'm Vinny. I played Kale Irvine, half elven cleric of Denier from the Kingdom of Eldergard. Katie, of course, is always like you. It's a joy to play with you as well. You take the things that we just kind of throw at you, and you expound on them in such a beautiful way that it really feels great. It's super fun, and I'm so glad that you are DMing for us. If I had to pick a favorite thing from today for just one thing, I mean, it was so many good moments. But I think my absolute favorite thing was like the exact quote from Katie and everything that followed. Tell me one thing that you remember about your father. To Wampem, and that just wow, that's such a good narrative character thing to just throw out there in one sentence. It's so nice, and I liked it so much. And I'm done. I'm going to toss it over to Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey, KCH on social media. And today I have been your Hobgoblin Azamar, champion of Timora, Impaler of the Plains, Heckler, Big Fire Chicken, She-Wood, Fight Storm, Slayer of Shadows, Nos, the boss of Neverwinter. I'm awake. I am of the same mind as the rest of you yokels when I say this is a really hard thing to choose from as far as favorite parts go. I agree with Katie's ability to paint pictures, not just visually, but also she uses all 5 of your senses. Really was into the part where you explained when you hit a baseball with a bat and you feel the tingle. I immediately felt that whenever you explained it, and I knew exactly what you were talking about. So it's stuff like that that really immerses me and makes me forget that I'm sitting in a chair in my house in front of a green screen. So that was awesome. And then your ability to pick up things that you shouldn't know unless you watched like all 50 episodes prior to the consistency. You've done 10 out of 10 on consistencies. And then I also really enjoyed the robe of scintillating colors going off. That was a nice moment to just interrupt otherwise seriousness, which absolutely needs to happen for every good story, IMO. And that's it for me, and on to John.
Hey, everybody. I am John. I am the dwarf from Mirabar, master of the axe, enemy of the drought, traveler of the plains, destroyer of the shadow, deliverer of certain death. I am the Wampem Thunderbelly of the Selenor. My most favorite thing I think of everything was Taslan being drunk. Without being drunk, you would actually think that you were drunk.
Oh yeah, that one meet, I was toasted, man.
I was sitting here watching you do that, and I'm going, that sounds like a drunk person. And then what was really freaky was when, Katie, you said that you feel that tingling. I felt my right hand get hot. It was so freaky. I'm going, whoa! But I of course I enjoyed everything today. I mean that was a fantastic session, and I will kick it over to my buddy, my friend, Mr. Tess.
Hi. Sorry, let me start over. That was bad. Huzzah and well met, friends. My name is Graham, or Graham Crackers. You can find me on Twitch TV or on Discord at the Open for Adventure Discord. I play Tazlin, the Shadar-kai Necromancer Wizard. And my favorite part was that I love all of you guys, and you are my favorite group, but don't tell my other groups because they'll get shy, maybe. But you all are the highlight of my week, and that if I had to pick any one moment, I would feel I was doing a disservice to all of you because you are literally the loves of my life. Don't tell Amy. But every week you give me stories and entertainment to keep me sitting in a chair hours on end, and the over a year of memories are fantastic. And I guess if I had to pick one moment, I think the moment I would pick would be Katie narrating Wampem getting hugged by his father, because I think it's such a rare thing for characters to get closure on the loss of an NPC, not to mention a backstory NPC that was never in the game, really. And I think that was narratively very tasteful, and I'm just eating it up. Just fasting all week, because that filled me. And that's all I've got this week. And thank you, audience, because I love you guys, too. Seeing them names in the chat every week. Oh,
Yeah. The
Full.
chat guys,
full of your love.
y'all are fantastic.
Yeah, I think it adds like an extra layer to the when you play D&D, all these amazing things happen and they give you all these feelings and experiences and you want to share them, but it's like difficult to share it with someone who wasn't there to experience it with you. And I think this is like the joy of streaming your game. It's like there's somebody there to experience it with you and to talk about it later that's outside the group as well. And that's my favorite thing about streaming D&D. It's so well, tabletop role-playing games. Anyway, yeah, it's wonderful. And I think we're done for today. And thank you, everyone. Are we going to raid?
Bye, everyone. Yeah, I see that the Greyhawk channel is playing the Dreadwood Fairy Tales, so we're going to hop over there, so stay tuned.
Bye! I can only hold this so long!